And we are back for Ember Cinder League between Final Boss Pup Patrol. I'm Isaac. Alongside me for this one is Jack. And Pup Patrol have elected to move back to the blue side for Game 3.
And as I said, after last game, blue side now in the series undefeated. So I'm happy to see them continue to choose that side. First pick very effective. I do expect the bans to remain a bit dynamic. Last game, you saw the set ban, the Mel ban. They wanted to make sure that Pup Patrol couldn't get their hands on those same strong champions. And I think we probably, unless the Mel ban continues, we'll just see that champion come out. But I don't really know if it's worth it to ban the Mel because the Hui looked very strong, was by far the best performing member of the team throughout the game. So if it's between Hui and Mel and they're just deciding, well, Mel is better for comp, we can just give over the Hui again. I think that's probably the best case. There's a lot of counters to it as well that we haven't really seen explored.
Yeah, I think in terms of that mid lane, especially with how impactful Black has been, even though, game 2 for the Pup Patrol didn't necessarily go to plan. Black was definitely one of the bigger performing members, and that was the answer to the Yorick split push, and was a big part of that. Going to be the first pick this time around for Pup Patrol, I do think that just because of how contested Mel is as the champion, if it does make it through, I think I'd prefer to see Black on the Mel just as a takeaway. That's just my 1-2 on that.
Yeah, I'm taking a look now. I want to see what does Akira Menai have in terms of actual counter picks, because we know that they can play the control mages as well. The Talia performance was incredible. The Mel, as you said, is a very contested pick for the both of them.
Aurelia! No. Sorry.
Could be. I'm a big Aurelia fan. I don't think it's very good right now, but I love the chance. So he does have second most played Silas. And Silas into Mel is a pretty good pick because Mel has a very annoying interaction with that rebuttal ability, the reflect, that if you reflect the abduct part of Silas's E, the chains go out, Mel reflects it, and it drags Mel to Silas, which is better for Silas because he doesn't have to put himself in danger. So I think that would be my strategy if I'm Vanguard. And if I'm Pup Patrol, I'm saying I don't really care if you counterpick me. I've been the best performing player on this team every game. My early games are good. My mid games are good. My late games are good. So you can counter me in lane. Maybe I fall a little bit behind, but I trust the jungle synergy there to get them any big ruts. As we see the jungle continue to be targeted, the Zac, the Nocturne. I like the set because, like I said, you're probably not going to first rotate it on red side. So it's just smart to take it away. And now mulling over that final ban. I'm surprised we never got to see the Seraphine. I feel like there's just plenty that can counter
it. Yeah. It's also something that Helium Bamboo, basically one tricks in ranked.
I see.
So it's like, if you don't want to play it yourself as well, might as well take it away. And as I've said many times before, at a gold level, comfort is king. And if there's someone who's so comfortable on one champion that they're just not going to make it out of the first round of bans every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not surprised to see the Jinx first picked, been very contested, banned in the first game, not banned second game, but they opted to stick with that Caitlyn. The misfortune being up meant Vanguard take it. Immediately matching the Jinx with the Sivir, and they're sticking. I think this is a very good Jarvan game as well, and Rick certainly showed an affinity for the pick, played it very well, continued to find good angles throughout the course of the game. But I do worry about Sivir in this spot, only because the reason the champion's risen in priority is because of a new build, and I've been extremely impressed by players on both sides. Especially that second game was a lot cleaner in terms of minor mistakes that were not being made anymore that were made in the first game. So I'm confident that Sivir is going to be able to do the right build. Lee Sin's back. Lee Sin, those buffs to Lee Sin brought him all the way back. And when you're looking for AD junglers who can actually deal a ton of damage throughout the mid game, not fall off as quickly, Lee Sin is about the only one who's been buffed more recent than they've been nerfed. Tom Kench, I don't love that champ. They're kind of just like a summoner spell. But if you really trust Elmeet to step up like they did in game 1, I think going with the Tom Kench is fine.
This is also potentially a bit of a fun flex as well. Oath has played Tom Kinch in solo queue, and I was talking to Coach Fox for Final Boss Pup Patrol. He also mentioned Tom Kinch as a champion that Oath can play. So it's not something that their coach is not afraid of picking it. And so as a flex option, I don't hate it.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more warranted. I think if it's flexible, then yeah, pick it away. Because flex picks, it's not only stealing away a counter if they don't go for, if they decide, okay, the Tom Kench is probably support, so we can pick our top laner early, or we can pick our support early, and then you can flex a counter pick. I think also in this elo, it probably performs pretty well top. The amount, the likelihood that they know how to play against it's probably a bit lower. To go to that Taric, I like Taric a little bit better here, just because the Xin Zhao has other capabilities in the jungle than just diving, whereas Lee Sin really has one job, and that's to dive in and find a kick. So Taric having that Cosmic Radiance is really damning for Lee Sin's ability to play throughout the course of the game. And now you see Mel banned, Hui banned, Talia banned, the mid pool getting pinched, forces Vanguard to consider picking their mid laner right here, right now. I honestly wouldn't be shocked to just see some sort of other control mage. And with Jarvan on your side, it's going to be Orianna.
Yeah, pretty slam dunk combo there. Cataclysm, Shockwave, everyone's caught in it. Pretty classic. And not too surprising there with what's being shown.
All right, hear me out. I think Tom Kench goes bottom lane here very well. They do have last pick support, but I think top lane go Renekton yourselves. Aurelion Sol, I like. You're scaling with Jinx. Aurelion Sol's ultimate when scaling, especially fighting against a Jarvan, Taric. This is a ball comp. No pun intended with the Orianna. They want to group up. They want to run forward as a core. Tom is going top lane. They said screw Jack's idea. Rel also does really well against compositions that want to group up together. The Magnet Storm, the Crash Down. And like I said, Aurelion Sol's ultimate is so impactful in these pro games. I don't remember. I think it was a T1 game where they were just pushing in the mid lane, and Aurelion Sol had the full ultimate and just finally unlocked it and put it down right on top of the AD carry's head. And it was too big for the AD carry to flash out of it. So they just died immediately because they got chain CC'd. And then Yorick coming out, I think it was pretty good last game. And it showed, even though it did start falling behind and getting solo killed, that added side lane pressure that it can bring instead of something like the Renekton. So I do like seeing the Yorick come back here.
I also think it is a little bit harder for the side of Pup Patrol to really counter the side lane pressure with what they've drafted last round. Obviously, in game 2 with Yorick, all they did was send ball to the side lane and just clear waves easily and not really care about it. But if you look at Pup Patrol now this time around, I mean, who do you really send up to answer this Yorick? I mean, Tom Kinch, because he's the top laner and might be okay, but it'll be a lot harder this time around.
Yeah, we're going to see if Aurelion Sol can farm effectively, because if they can, the black hole and I'll see in a second what that Q ability is called, is able to just one-shot waves later into the game. But that also, it's more than that, because like you said, it's not about like who's going to be able to fight him. It's about who's going to have to answer him, who's going to be capable of clearing the waves. And if Aurelion Sol's top lane, that's a lot of your damage in these team fights, a lot of your security in these team fights with that Aurelion Sol ultimate. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Pup Patrol handle this.
And I I guess at the very least on the side of Pup Patrol, they do have a really strong 5v5. And as soon as that Tom Kinch does get out of the side lanes, we'll be able to keep the Jinx and the ASOL alive for a lot longer, and we'll be able to just kind of hold the enemy right where you want them, especially with the Magnet Storm from the Rel. I'm wondering if we can load it onto the Rift just yet. It's taken a little bit longer this time around. Do excuse us for that, but the team fighting ability from Pup Patrol is certainly very strong, especially if they can get the Cosmic Radiance out of Forge Esports Vanguard early. Without that, it becomes a lot harder for the side of the Vanguard to really keep this Sivir and this Orianna alive.
Yeah, I think this game is really going to be on the shoulders of Wardom. Usually when you see these comps, you're like Jinx, Aurelion Sol, and then you got Tom Kent's to protect the Jinx and the A Soul. You've got Rel for these massive engagements to really counter engage or find members of Vanguard caught off guard. But everyone I've mentioned, their champions have agency. They have synergies with one another that can protect them throughout the course of the game and keep them relevant. Lee Sin has to be self-sufficient here. Lee Sin can't be getting supported by the Tom Kench. Tom Kench needs to be helping Jinx and A Soul. Lee Sin's got to find his own angles, can't be relying on the Rel because the Rel needs to counter engage and peel. So Wardom had a very good game 1. Game 2, not as good, but not terrible. This game, they're going to have to be making plays early. They're going to have to accelerate the Jinx because Taric Sivir is a hard lane to kill. The spell shields, the amount of stuns, you just kind of dazzle and go back. And Sivir just wants to free farm. We've had 2 45-minute games. Sivir doesn't mind that one bit. So I think it's going to be on the shoulders of Wardom. They're not going to be able to just rely on Black to carry them through this game. They're not going to be able to rely on Elmeet just scaling. I need to see Wardom making plays early and often.
Yeah, and we do have note we should be loading onto the Rift any second now. Sorry for the little extra delay, but yeah, that's the champions loading in there. They've spawned. We're ready to go for one last time between Final Boss Pup Patrol and Forge Esports Vanguard here in the Ember Cinder League.
Looking across, I really like the decision by Rel to go for Aftershock. I know it's pretty standard, but this is a game where even though I've kind of been joking about Unsealed Spellbook, when Tom Kench doesn't really want to be frontlining, wants to be supporting the Jinx, wants to be protecting their teammates. So it's going to be up to Rel to be really the only frontliner. So going for that Aftershock is going to help them throughout the course of this game, especially later on when those damages start to get actually pretty high. So I think the only real concern, or not concern, but the only change, for lack of a better word, I want to see this game is from Rix's itemization. I obviously the Eclipse is great, and I just don't think the Spear of Sojin is as necessary on Jarvan, because I understand you can stack it up really quickly with your flag and drag into the Golden Aegis shield, but I just don't think you're ever dealing, like, you're getting that many abilities out to really justify that purchase. I think Steric's Gauge or even a Sundered Sky would be a little bit more useful, especially when you're facing 3 melee threats like Tom Kench, Lee Sin, and Rel.
Yeah, and Jarvan, not exactly the most like high damage champion anyway. I think being able to move on and just interrupt this fight, especially if they could keep Elmeet and Black away from like a ward dom, like engaged, to make sure that they can't follow up on a really good kick. And actually, hold on, it's a really good level 2 from the side of Final Boss Pup Patrol there in the bottom lane. Trying out Helium Bamboo quite a decent bit.
Yeah, one of the things we didn't yet mention, but I think is, now that I've seen it and realized it, very important to talk about, is Death Knight back on Rel. I feel like not having playmaking in that second game on the Braum, they didn't necessarily have a bad game, but the inability to make plays really hindered their ability. And now back on an engaged support, back on a champion that gives them agency to get around the map.
Dom's going to try this level 3 gank. Going to spend a lot of time actually there in the bottom lane to try to force this out, and gives Rix a lot more extra time to farm up and maybe slowly start to get ahead in this.
He's already cross-mapping, recognizing that Lee Sin's not going to have an easy time getting into their blue jungle. Actually wants to just check mid, make absolutely sure that they aren't going to try something sneaky there.
The stun does come down from Helium Bamboo, and actually the counter punch from that from Traxon in the bot lane of FEV. Quite alright there. This will dive straight into the wall there. Going to make sure Oath will flash forward, try and find Wildstar. Does get the stun. First blood on the auto attack. Oath turning the script around up there in the top lane. It's usually been Oath being the one getting solo killed, but not this time. He finds it there.
I mean, this top lane has been exactly what you want to see from a viewer experience. Just constant fighting. Just they're relentless. And this time, Oath grabbing that first one. It's escaped him the past couple of games. And the teleport back immediately. I love how they keep punishing it, as I think Rix did get that, but he's in trouble now.
Did smite it away, but Black is here first. Still to get a decent amount of damage down. Flag drag followed up by War Dumb on the Q2. Doesn't quite have the damage there, but has to be full retreat. And actually, hold on, Helium Bamboo is going to take 2 tower shots off that. Death Knight will flash and ignite there, though. So no summoner spells used from the side of Final Boss Patrol. I mean, of Forge Esports. Forge Esports, but it is the bot lane of the Putt Patrol that's having a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, also, it was very strange. Oath and Wardom kept chasing into the red jungle. They were actually behind Rix there. I was like, what side of the map were they on again? I couldn't really tell because Oath was at the enemy Krugs, but luckily there's no follow-up collapse, so no real punish there. Oath able to get back to lane, has a Giant's Belt in their pocket, and obviously Tom Kench damage scales off of health on those auto attacks on the Q, so good to do. Lee Sin is bottom lane as Jinx has left, just hovering, but now Rix has walked up. Chemtech Dragon is up and available, so they are trying to establish positioning here. And Wildstar still just trying to get some positioning, as I'd like to, let's take a moment, thank everyone for watching. We've had incredible active viewers this entire time, and couldn't be happier to have a really entertaining series for this first game. And for me, East Coast, it's 10:50 right now, and I'm still ready, I'm still up and going, and all these players fighting so hard in this first game, really good to see that.
Yeah, it's definitely been an incredible way to start off the Cinder League, the Ember Cinder League as a whole, and actually just Ember League in general as the first ever broadcast. Cinder's really asked for more out of this series. It's been a little bit more quiet in the early game this time around, but that's understandable with how high the stakes are, being the first series to go away. That'll be the Devourer used by Tom Kench. Decent amount of damage onto Wildstar. This will die, will land the knockup, but the Maiden's doing so much damage onto Oath in the back end. It was a solo kill earlier for Oath, but now it's Wildstar turning the script around. It's 1-1 in the kills.
The ghouls, man, they just form an impenetrable line, so it doesn't matter how low you get Yorick. The tongue lash isn't going to be able to get through, is not going to be able to stun. So just has to back up, doesn't have teleport, which means Yorick's going to get at least one turret plate here, going to deny an entire wave of experience, and already a level up, going to get very difficult for Oath. And maybe, for a little background on myself, my main leagues I cast are Master 600 cap and 1000 cap, so I think I'm in the wrong place. These IBSG, this constant fighting, but not a ridiculous amount. Pretty competent across the board in terms of macro. And this is just really fun to see these top lanes just devolve into cage matches.
Might be a bit of a miscommunication there, though. Death Knight will walk forward without Elmeet. Luckily does have that shield to prevent too much damage returning their way. We've got all 4 members of both teams, not all 4 members, but all four of the bot half of the teams moving down for this first Drake. And it's looking like it could be a bit of a brawl. Drake's already down to 1.5k HP. Members of FEV are more centralized around this dragon. That will be the Kimtech Drake going over to the side of 4G Sports Vanguard.
Look at War Dog. He's just sitting in the back of the area. Someone come get me, please. And he gets out of there eventually. It's a good point to mention a small intricacy there. Neither jungler at that point had gotten their jungle pet down below 20, which means that both of their smites only did 600. So it's sitting at 1700 with all members of Vanguard being there, means that Lee Sin couldn't go in and utilize the execute.
No, the Ground will be landed, and I think that with the Maiden coming down, that will be the damage going down.
Oh, the Maiden!
1 tower shot, 2 tower shots with the tongue lash on the slow means Wildstar can't get away. Still had the flash available. Ops not Jesus deciding that he was already dead, and now the gank comes through. The Cosmic Radiance will drop, ensuring that Traxon and Helium Bamboo will be fine, but that's going to be flash barrier not available for the ADC of FEV.
Yeah, that's a very effective gank there. No flash, no barrier. As you mentioned, Cosmic Radiance at this point has quite the cooldown, and now Lee Sin can just make their way up to the grubs, knowing that he put his bottom lane a little bit ahead with those summoner grabs. Back to that top lane fight, the Maiden hitting Oath as he spit out Yorick meant that Yorick picked up turret aggro immediately, was the demise of Yorick in the end, and Oath, you know, the mental of this player to die so often, constantly be fighting, and not only understanding the risk, understanding how they're going to come back if the risk actually ends up, you know, cashing in and they end up dying over and over again. Understanding how to play around, I've been very, very impressed with the mental there. And unfortunately, Elmeet, suffering another difficult early game, is able to get the BF sword on base, luckily. But once again, Traxon able to pick up an early advantage, as this duo down here has shown a lot of versatility. The Xayah, the Misfortune, now the Sivir, really working together. Got the BF sword on the first back. And if they're able to crash this, would be a very good base and lane state. Death Knight, I do want to say, as we saw those earlier skirmishes, Death Knight was going in without Elmeet to back them up. It just goes again to show how much more comfortable it looks like Death Knight is.
Hold on, Black Recall doesn't have teleport available either, with Rix and Akira Minai nearby. This could potentially spell trouble, but Wardom does get the final grub before Rix can contest. And we'll hightail it out of there before anything more comes of that.
Oh, it does look like Rix was able to pick up one of them. So I think that Wardom, it looks like Wardom walked up while Rix was staking them. Rix took one and got out, which is a good strategy. I think more teams should do that when you recognize, okay, the enemy jungler wants to take this. Let me grab one of them to deny the mites and then just get out of here.
Speaking of getting out of there, Black will just barely get out of the range of that shockwave. Oath wants this fight, even with the Warden, the Maiden up. And now Wildstar is taken low, but the extra damage from the little ghouls and the Maiden coming down onto Oath has to flash away. It's not quite enough. Oath opting for that fight, but getting burned for it.
Yeah, but I know exactly what they're thinking. They're thinking, how do I hit the W to get back on?
Wildstar isn't enough. The ghouls are there. There's the solo kill. All 4 kills this game so far have been solo kills in the top lane, and that is absolutely Oh, Traxon will go on the hunt, trying to find Elmeet. Now the final auto attack will claim it. Feats of Warfare going over to the side of FEV on the very first kill that isn't in the top lane. And this fight's going well. And that's the Cosmic Radiance dropping. Black has to be in full retreat. Death Knight trying to find his way out to. They will actually manage to escape with almost their lives, but actually with all that getting moved away, that will be the first turn, and the feats of strength going over to the side of 4G Sports Vanguard.
Wow, I was going to take a moment to talk about that top 1v1 again, but Traxon, that was so impressive. Hiding in the bush, waiting for Elmeet to overextend while Death Knight is off helping the jungler ward. Gonna use that Mega Death Rocket to just try and thin the wave. But Traxxon immediately procs on the hunt and gets below Elmeet, forcing them towards the river rather than towards their turret, means that they can collapse, put down the exhaust, and then once, even though Black joins and they have a numbers advantage for a small moment, the Cosmic Radiance with that invulnerability, the Cataclysm comes down and just allows Sivir to get free ricochets hitting everyone. Traxxon kind of quietly didn't have the worst game 1. Game 2 obviously scaled into a monster as the MF after having a quiet game, and now massive play being made there. I do want to point out Black, once again, having a pretty good game, CSing extremely well at around over 9 per minute, 9 CS per minute, and actually, Oath might just be dead here.
He probably is. We'll bring the Maiden, but he uses his whole health bar to do so. And Wildstar, while in the Devour, still manages to get the kill. Straight over to the other side of the map. Wildstar does
Skies
have
descend.
Will be a 4v4. That's the Azel going down low. Elmeet also getting picked up. And Helium Bamboo still alive, but not quite now just yet. That will be the double kill going over to the War Dom on the back end, but with no more Jinx, with no more Rel, no more Azel. The flash forward from Trax, and ensures that he gets a triple kill around this Drake.
And they're going to opt. Turret plates have fallen. They're running mid lane, and now, I'm not sure really what to do. They can't go back to the Dragon. They don't have a smite. It did reset. Very well. I don't think so, Spectator.
Yeah,
I was a little late. So that's all right. Thank you. Riot Spectator hadn't really bugged that much during this, so it wanted to come in and just say hello. That fight, really well played by Akira Manai, because it started with, I pointed it out, Aurelion Sol had the fully stacked ultimate, went from the Falling Star to the Skies Descend, but Akira Manai hit a 3-man shockwave. It forced Aurelion Sol to use the ult right away, and it hit after Black died, so they weren't able to follow up on that ultimate at all. So just allowed them to clear out that fight, and obviously Traxxon is the one who cleans up all those kills, but I want to give Akira Manai their flowers. It was a very well done shockwave, and now we're right back where we started. The Ocean Dragon is sitting there. They weren't able to take it because Rix went down. Wardom is on the bottom side of the map. Black does have teleport and is moving towards the top side with Oath. But it looks like Oath is coming down, not having the teleport available. They want to be on this bottom side. And I really think, I know I've been saying the last 2 games that contesting the second Dragon isn't really worth it. But I think that this is a position where you can not really contest, but just apply pressure on the bottom side of the map, moving Oath to the mid lane, putting Black with the teleport up top side. And as you're seeing, like I mentioned, the Black Star, or the Singularity, is able to really neutralize Yorick split pushing by completely killing the entire wave. But Wardom now moving up to the top side means that there's certainly going to be no contest.
No, absolutely not, especially on top of that. Traxxon has completed Yuntal, Wild Arrows, nearly a whole item up off of Elmeet, especially with those kills in that previous fight. Definitely looking like one of the stronger members of the side of FEV currently. That being said, if he's left alone, does at least have that spell shield to be okay. They're not going to give up this Surf Herald. FEV have moved up to it, to contest it, and not quite going to go onto it, at least just back force side of the Pup Patrol to move away.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say that Traxxon does not have the gold for Infinity Edge. That's why you're seeing them kind of just roam in between lanes, waiting to get enough gold to go back down. Doesn't have the blood or the pickaxe, so probably, I'd say they're probably around 600 to 700 gold off of it at this moment. And now is Tarek helping them secure that gold. Obviously, Wildstar. This game, we haven't seen Wildstar make this decision. I'm happy that they're doing it. The cross mapping, recognizing that top lane's already been taken, that Otacon's on the bottom side, so they're going there now.
Yeah, Ward Dawn is here to find this. Wildstar flashing away. Will probably just go down. There's the kick And now, as ECL moves down on this one, that'll be the shutdown going on to Oath, but they commit so much for that bottom lane that it does mean that this Rift Herald will be claimed by FEV.
Yep, Rift Herald will be claimed, and Teleport will have to be expended by Black to get back up to that top side and prevent Akira Manai from getting any sort of meaningful damage done to that inner lane turret. Really well done across the map by Forge Esports Vanguard. And when you have a split pushing member like Wildstar, Wildstar dying there isn't really the worst thing in the world as long as you're able to respond accordingly, and they were able to do so. So it's interesting to watch if you don't have any sort of commentary, as Flash Forward by Death Knight doesn't really land anything though.
Does get the stun, and now Akira Manai will use the Shockwave to ward off Ward Dom. Sitting down to half health and okay for now.
They had Flash. I think the idea was that they were going to follow anyway and then Flash for the Insect, but because the Shockwave kind of interrupted their movement, they had to flash away. So it ends up just being Lee Sin Flash and Rel Flash for Shockwave, which is not a good...
He's taking tons of damage. Traxon's so huge already, and he's running forward. Death Knight going to use the ult there, but that's going to only pull Traxon closer as it's a double kill for this Sivir, now 6-0-1.
Yeah, I gotta eat my words. I said at the beginning of this I was worried to see if the itemization would be right, because Sivir coming back into the meta is a lot to do with the new build where you don't go for the Essence Reaver, you don't go for the Navori Quick Blades, you just go Presence of Mind in your runes. And they're doing it. They're doing the right build, the right runes. They're playing like a psycho.
Yeah, Wildstar will be taking down really low with the tower shots and the Devour. Oath flashing forward. Can he get the
Missed
kills?
the tongue lash.
This will be coming out from Wildstar though. Oh, way far away. Super Mega Death Rocket is the one that gets the kill, and actually that's probably a better allocation of the gold anyway.
Absolutely. And also the Sky's Descend was used. I don't love that. 1:20 until the dragon. Right now with the Rylai's and the Black Fire Torch completed, Aurelion Soul is by far your biggest damage threat. So using that Sky Descends in the mid lane, maybe they were trying to catch someone out. I don't really think that's a worthy use right there. Even more so because Otacon has just spawned, so you have Dragon up in a minute, Otacon up now. You really needed that ultimate to be up and available to really contest. At this moment, you're down 3k across the board, and a lot of that gold is in Sivir. And if you want to be able to kill the Sivir, having a massive AoE stun is probably one of the easier ways you're going to be able to do that.
Speaking of the Sivir, though, just recalled and back from base, has an Infinity Edge, already is sitting at 2.5 items with the Zeal as well. It's, Traxon's, he's feeling quite good for himself at this point, he's feeling great.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like, if you just look at the KDAs, that all of the resources are in the Sivir, and certainly a lot are, but this Orianna is also doing quite well, not really compared to just Aurelion Soul, but when you look across the map, Seraph's Embrace fully stacked, has the Sork Shoes empowered by those feats of strength, going to be dealing a ton of damage in these fights.
Speaking of fights, we might just have one breaking out now. Traxon will hold on to On the Hunt. Not going to try to push those kills any further, recognizing that the members of the Pup Patrol are in and around the area, could collapse at any moment. But now they move on to the Drake. Ward Dom will find the Q onto the Drake, but it's a little bit too high now to try to contest. Rix will move away, so Mega Death Rocket moves down. It's a valiant effort to try to steal that away, but it is Soul Points going to the side of Forge Esports Vanguard. Oh wait, hold on, Death Knight. Yeah, he's fine.
The Maiden's just devouring Rel at this moment. Not even Wildstar, not even hitting. Just the Maiden doing all of that damage. And I mentioned it early of Death Knight now having more of a playmaker, and we just haven't really been able to see all of the pieces come together. Now, this isn't like last game where we had a Caitlyn. Caitlyn takes a very long time to come online if you don't get early kills, if you're not able to push the lane very effectively and deny resources from the opposing bottom lane. So Jinx, not as difficult. You're going to see the scaling come through at the completion of Infinity Edge. and they haven't been able to. Ice, if I could get the gold. Actually, wait a second.
Star is going to be taken down to half health, but 2 members are here. The lot will be committed to try to kill Wildstar on his own. Wardom finally picks up the kill. 2 members sent over, and honestly, there's just not much available on the map for FEV to counter with.
Yeah, just to get some gold out of that, and luckily the rest of the squad positioned accordingly in case there was some sort of an Otacon start. So Black in the bottom lane hitting that wave, and now we see the BF sword is completed for Jinx, so still a bit away from that Infinity Edge, and then once the Infinity Edge is completed, you have to get the Runaan's Hurricane, because you got Taric, Jarvan, Yorick, all of them are going to be running at you, trying to stun you, stop you. So you have to be able to hit multiple targets at once. And Jinx is a champion that I feel like everyone thinks is super easy. You scale, and then you reset, you get excited, and you run forward. But the team fights have to be played in a very specific order where you start in minigun form, and then once you get your first reset, you can switch over to Shark Tooth or Bones, whatever it's called, and you can start using those high attack speed rockets. So I'm interested to see if they can do it. But right now they're caught out by Killian Baboon.
Not quite going to find the stun on Elmeet there, so he'll be fine. Talk about Otacon, you were saying it earlier. It's started up by Pup Patrol. Interestingly enough, they'll back off it, probably wisely so. But
I don't think it was intentional.
I mean, surely not, right? Like,
yeah. Otacon is one of the most frustrating objectives to be around, because if you even look at this objective the wrong way, he just starts running through the lane. He'll chase you down forever and just do so much damage, shred your armor. One of the most obnoxious objectives to deal with. And meanwhile, Oath, top lane, slowly is becoming an absolute nightmare. If you look at the items, the Bramble Vest, Sunfire Cape, this guy is going to be so obnoxious to deal with once they join, but not being here, Sivir able to just push down the wave so effectively.
Going to have to flash away from the Yorick there as well. As you mentioned, the wave clear from the Sivir makes this push so much easier, but that Oath will find 2 with the Abyssal Dive. Cosmic Radiance drops, no damage is coming down. 4 members of their Death Knight now not quite down, as there's the back end, a huge shutdown for Black. Wildstar gets one in return at the very least, but Black is here. Black has arrived. Double kill there. Wardom, can he get a 3rd kill for the side of the Pup Patrol? Yes, he can. Rick almost very nearly finds Black. Not quite. Still a really well fought fight.
Whoa!
Oh, Oath's going crazy. He's not stopping. Akira Manai taken down to about half health. Wardom not going to find that positive key, but will it matter? Rix is here. Wardom finally not killed. It's actually Oath who will be taking those tower shots and getting killed. It's a long extended fight, but in the end, I believe it's 3 for 3.
That sucked. That was bad. I don't really know what else to say. Oath goes ballistic, but they would have been able to get out of it. Once Wardom jumps in, misses the Sonic Wave, so no ability to actually finish the kill onto Akira Manai. That whole fight, the reason it went so well is because they were able to get right on track, son. Oath played the beginning of that fight so well, because once the Cosmic Radiance came down, he devoured Sivir so that they couldn't output any damage, waited out the duration, then spit them out. Really allowed for the rest of the team to isolate that target. But this is my least favorite part of color casting, is pointing out that the reason a fight didn't go as well is because of player error. Elmeet really not utilizing their champion as a ranged champion, just ran into melee of Yorick and allowed him to just auto attack them to death. Really, that mispositioning, it isolated Jinx and it negated the resets, didn't allow them to continue in the fight. But now, Sky's Descend finally available for one of these objective fights. So going to have a better ability. The only question is, how are they going to get into this fight?
Yeah, it's a bit harder from the blue side onto the Dragon to really find anything, and it is going to be started up by Wildstar, but just Wildstar alone. Wardom is here. They do have vision on this objective being taken. Just keep in mind, it is sole point for the side of FEV, and they will pull the trigger on the side of the Pup Patrol. The Skies Descend drop. It does a decent amount of damage, but is enough to find its way onto Rix. And it's not quite 1-for-1 for now. Elmeet does get excited. Cosmic Radiance finally dropping, healing Bamboo awfully low, but honestly not the biggest value of Cosmic Radiance you'll ever see, as the side of the Pup Patrol are on this Drake, and that will be Soul not going on the side of Forge Esports.
Really well done. Yorick was able to get Elmeet inside of the Ghoul cage, so they weren't able to put down a ton of damage, but that fight was won by Aurelion Sol. Saves the Skies Descend. I've been so critical of their usage of the ability, and they're able to land it on tracks on the very edge of it. It forces the retreat from the entire team, and it means that the Cosmic Radius can't be used because they're all knocked up. So then they just walk forward, and they did something that a lot of teams don't realize. You don't always have to kill the opposing champions if you're fighting over an objective. If you get them low enough to where they can't walk up without threatening to die, they just have to reset. And if they're not there, they might as well be dead, especially when you're trying to just fight to secure an objective. So once they realize that the entire squad of Forge Esports Vanguard have retreated, they turn and they get both objectives. So really couldn't have gone any better for the side of Pup Patrol, barring maybe getting a couple more kills. So able to secure their first dragon, secure the Otacon, a permanent buff for the rest of the game. Now Wildstar has to use the flash, could still be in trouble.
But the rest of FEV are nearby. If you could live long enough, Wildstar going low, going down, and there's just no one else really close enough to collapse on that.
Oh, Black maybe going too far forward.
He's going to go for this, but he's going to get stopped by the Cataclysm as well. Skies Descend won't find much damage, but it won't matter as Rix goes a little bit too far for the rest of his team to follow up on, and with no jungler and no top laner, it is the numbers advantage and the Baron up for the side of the Pup Patrol to start to come back into this one as they're bringing it level in the gold.
Yeah, they're playing this exactly the way they should be. The macro in the mid game has been so excellent for Pup Patrol. They have the Tom Kench, they've got Aurelion Sol, Rel. You want to just group up as 5. You want your top laner to be a part of your team. And when they get into these fights, they're able to isolate Wildstar, meaning they'll have a numbers advantage no matter what. On top of the fact that Akira Manai is bot lane the whole time, means that they can just go one by one. Rix is too far forward, they isolate him. Once Tarek is seen and Sivir are seen, Aurelion Sol is able to put out so much damage at a distance utilizing the Singularity and the Breath of Light that Traxxon can't get in range to deal any auto attacks. Sivir is very well known as a hyper carry and having those ricochets, but people forget Sivir is an extremely low range carry. So if Sivir can't walk up and get in range, that means Traxxon's not going to be able to put out any ricochets. It's really important that they continue to play with their zone control and force Traxxon out of these fights if they aren't able to actually jump on their head, as now it looks like they're going for a kill.
Oh, the flash crashed down, tries to find its way onto Traxxon, but the Cosmic Radiance will keep him alive a little bit longer. As you're mentioning, ricochets needs to be short range for Traxxon, finds it there. And the counter punch from the side of FB just not really there to find anything else. There'll be one kill going on to the side of Forge Esports.
That was an incredible dazzle by Helium Bamboo. I see some people in the chat, they were talking about how they couldn't believe that they got this twice in a row.
Oh, we've started to find a way. Traxxon's going low. He's split. He's running into melee range. Elmeet will pick up the kill, and that's a huge one onto an absolutely key member of the side of Forge Esports.
Yeah,
there's not really too much available on the map for the side of
yeah, they just have to let this cannon minion do the work. Elmeet is too low to walk up. One shockwave would mean they just die, as Rabadon's death cap is nearly completed for Akira Manai. You just can't get caught like that if you're Traxxon. You are so much of this team's damage, and when you walk that 4 forward without the security of Cosmic Radiance, without the security of Orianna to deal follow-up damage, you're just asking to get caught out and collapsed on. And even if they are able to turn it around and maybe get a kill back themselves, that's still time on the map that you're not there. That Pup Patrol are able to take advantage of they got that Baron at a point where they were trying to come back, so it doesn't really matter if they can't get too many objectives. The gold that they're going to get from that, the extra waves they're going to get, the pressure they can put down, very, very meaningful. 22 seconds left. Baron still active, so they're going to be able to push in this bottom lane. Black is going to get here, and the Sky's Descend is up and available. And look how easily they just gain control of the river.
Move right in, and actually Rix might be cut out here. Gets down to half health without much use from the side of the pup patrol. Once again, just going to push forward and force Rix away. That's a huge member to get low on the side of FEV. Is really, you know, obviously the Jarvan, the one with the smite, the jungler, one who can seal it away. At the very least, Wildstar is up in this top lane, pushing down, claiming yet another tower for themselves.
Yeah, and Oath opting to teleport to the turret rather than just recall and walk up, figuring that Yorick has so much damage, has the Triforce, would potentially be able to utilize that last right auto attack to take that down. Trying to deal some damage to Traxxon. They really need to secure this mid lane turret. Sky's Descend
finds its way onto Traxxon, and now Death Knight will follow up the CC, but there's the Cosmic Radiance. It drops, and Traxxon's alive. Traxxon's doing damage, but he's actually taken down. Wardom finds that kill. No more. Sivir is huge, and Elmeet's still alive, so the damage is there, and Wardom again goes back in, but the shockwave from Akira Manai gets that kill. Wildstar will move it to Elmeet, gets that kill as he recalls, and Wildstar is here fully with the damage, is able to turn that one around for the side of FEV.
I start so strong getting that Sky's Descent of Traxxon. I thought for a moment they were just using it to zone them off the turret, but they landed on both bottom lane members. Unfortunately, Wardom wasn't able to initially find a Sonic Wave onto Traxxon. Eventually gets it with the bowling combo from... Oh no, didn't end up using the Dragon's Reach, so it must have been just a Tempest and E that was able to get the kill with the AoE. But I hate to be critical again. I understand, you know, IBSG, these are players playing in competitive for the first time, but Elmeet's positioning on Jinx continues to be a disadvantage to them. Not able to stay at range long enough and continue putting out damage. Also, someone on his team has got to tell him that his ultimate's an execute. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a Super Mega Death Rocket be shot at full health members of the enemy team. They're going to have to start synergizing well with the rest of the squad if they're going to be able to pull out these late game team fights, because they do have scaling, they have Jinx, Aurelion Sol, but Sivir, Orianna is no slouch, and one bad position, one caught out, like how we saw Traxxon get caught out in the mid lane. If that happens to Elmeet, it's going to be very, very dangerous for Pup Patrol to try and finish out this game.
It is Elmeet, definitely a very important member of the side of Pup Patrol. At the very least, it's not the only source of damage that Pup Patrol have. Black has frankly been quite amazing, not just this game, but the whole series. One of the standout performers in general, not just on Pup Patrol. So they do have that going for them at the very least, but as Baron spawns, it is positioning advantage inside of Pup Patrol.
Yeah, Wildstar, no teleport, sitting in base, completed the Cyrilda's Grudge. That's a very big item completion, especially considering Tom Kench has been the option to stop the split push, and this Tom Kench is an absolute monster tank-wise. Look at the build. It's going to be very difficult for anyone to kill him other than Orianna and Akira Menai. Really, he's got bigger fish to fry in these team fights. Catfish is not on the menu. So, continuing to push in this mid lane, that is, you know, the massive benefit of having a Sivir who is at the 300 CS spike, full crit, full damage on the ricochet, but can't really get... I should mention, something I forgot to talk about during the draft is Rel is one of the better, if not the best, engaged support against Sivir because they have multiple follow-up CC abilities.
Oh, Helium Bamboo might be in a bit of trouble. Will use the Sky's Descent for themselves. Keep himself alive for now, but he's so far split. Oaths will be fine. Elmeet gets that first kill, and now Traxxon's going to be stunned up. Wardom's there, kicks Rix of all people. Won't really find much else from that, but Rix moves back forward in a bit of an odd choice. Elmeet gets that second kill. Akira Manai slowed. There's Super Mega Death Rocket. Doesn't quite get that kill, followed up by Death Knight. That's 3 members down on the side of Forge Esports. Vanguard and Wildstar now will have to flash away, and it's an incredible fight for a final boss, Pup Patrol. as the Baron spawns.
Incredibly.
They're going to end it.
They're pushing for the end. They saw their moment to kill Helium Bamboo. This is a strategy that so many Korean teams utilize. They're just going to get the inhibitor. But that is legitimately a strategy. When an objective is up and available, a lot of Korean LCK teams, what they'll do is they'll just wait for the support to try and go ward, and they'll group as 5 and kill them as quickly as possible. Not because they think it's going to be, you know, a massive amount of gold they're going to get, but if you're trying to fight 5v5 without your support, or 4v5 without the support, that's so much of your engage, so much of your CC, and they just know it's going to be a near guaranteed objective. So they use that strategy, whether they know it or not, they use that strategy, but then the rest of the team.
This might actually, but I mean, as you say that, the Drake is now spawned. All 4 members are on the side of FEV, are in and around this. That's going to be Soul.
That was a very, very impressive decision by Vanguard, realizing that because they went and took the inhibitor, they wasted too much time. So when they got the Baron, they had no ability. Even if they had walked straight from Baron to Dragon, they wouldn't have gotten there in time to take the Dragon. Maybe would have gotten there in time for the fight, but not in time to get the Dragon. Mountain Soul going to be very, very good. But as I say that, looking at the items, Lord Dominic's regard for Jinx, Void Staff, for Aurelion Soul.
Trouble, War Dom's here. Now the Sky's Descend will find its way onto 3, and that's going to be the Jarvan dead. This just might be the fight that Pop Patrol need. It's the Cosmic Gradients will drop down and keep themselves alive a little bit longer, but it's not quite enough. Black, oh, hold on, Traxon almost killing off Black there. It's not over just yet. It's an even trade of kills between these two teams, but it's going to be pushing forward even more from the side of Pup Patrol. Moving their way onto the spot lane inhibitor turret. Oh, Smoke just stepped a little bit too far. His team has been called, going to use the Abyssal Dive to get out of there and be safe. And continue on being alright for now.
Yeah, Traxon continues to get caught by these Sky Descends. Going to be the death of them eventually in terms of their team and ability to win this first streamed match of the Ember Cinder League. Really all on the shoulders of Akira Manai and Traxon to get the big shockwave, to land those massive ricochets. Now with the Baron buff applying pressure on all 3 lanes over the course of the buff. Black staying up here. Both now recognizing they can.
Wait, hold on. That's going to be a shockwave that finds Black, and Rick's going to take Black very low, but not quite down. And now everybody's here. Sky's Descends finds way to take care of Manai and Rick's, but doesn't get the kills. And that's going to be Rick's taken down by Elmi, or the other way around speaking. Now Oath separated from his team. Going to be 2 kills over to the side of FEV. Without really anything on the map, it'll just be the gold and the reduced pressure.
I mean, as soon as I was starting to compliment him, Elmeet again puts himself in a Forge Esports Vanguard sandwich, right in between Akira Manai and Rix. Just gets blown up immediately, and luckily, as you mentioned, nothing on the map now. But it's kind of like one of those. It just keeps happening over and over and over again, and you're hoping that eventually the lesson is going to be learned, that the positioning has to be more patient, more careful, and eventually it's going to really bite them. It's going to come before an Elder Dragon or a Baron, and it's going to be a disadvantage they cannot overcome. Jinx at this point so much on their shoulders to deal so much damage. Wardom starting to fall off at this point. Jarvan's building tank items. They're still going for that bruiser build. And I think if Vanguard want to come back into this game and actually threaten to be able to end with this mountain, we need to see Wildstar get back off into the side lanes. You got 2 minutes before any objective spawns. They're funneling gold and CS into Jinx for what I can only assume is a Guardian Angel. And now it's just about making sure Wildstar can't push a side lane so far in that if you commit to an objective, it's going to mean giving up an inhibitor or maybe even more. And with both objectives spawning at around the same time, I mean, Pup Patrol and comms have to be making the decision, even though they're far ahead right now. Gold is starting to mean less and less. It's just going to be about execution in the team fights. Are we willing to take Elder and give up Baron? Are we trying to get both objectives? Do we want to start an objective and turn for a fight? These are conversations they have to be having right now, and they have to make a decisive decision in a minute and in 20 seconds. They have to have their answer and be ready to commit to it.
What's even better about this is that both big late game objectives are coming up at more or less the same exact time. I mean, Elder Drake's only coming up 15 seconds after the Baron spawns, so there's a lot on the map to be gained with a fight going either way coming up, at least in the next minute. Until then, both these teams are going to farm out, try to find any sort of vision and positioning advantage they can on either of these objectives. Right now, it seems to be the focus is on the Elder Drake, and it will be the Pup Patrol who have taken an early vision advantage in around this big late game neutral.
Yeah, if I'm Pup Patrol, I say screw the Baron. We don't need Baron. It's not really relevant. I know that they have a lot of wave clear, they have a lot of push, but if we get Elder Dragon, we've got Aurelion Sol, Rel, we've got Tom Kent, we got Lisa, we can just dive. We don't have to worry about them pushing in waves. I like Oath up here, has teleport, and no CC for Wildstar. He'd have to land a very well-positioned Dark Possession cage to get Oath's teleport to stop channeling. I think the only thing I would actually say here is maybe have Black on that side because they can more effectively stop the waves. Teleport going into the Baron pit. It's a 4v4 on that side of the map, and Oath not really able to contest with this push. He's got to start being more aggressive here to stop him from hitting the turret.
Yeah, he will move forward onto Wildstar, but this Drake seems to be started up right around now. What can Oath do? Wildstar will just go straight for the tower, won't get those extra tower shots, but the Dragon has spawned, as we saw. Wildstar trying to be stopped by Oath. Does he get the inhibitor? Yes, he does. Wildstar flashing away, followed up by Oath. Does he get the stun? The tongue lash? Yes, he does. There's going to be the GA popped. It's Oath going to now not quite land the knock-up on the Abyssal Dive, but I kind of want to take a look over at this Drake now, and there it is.
Oh, Cataclysm.
Greens will drop Cataclysm, Fence runs back, and Elmeet will be taken down by... Oh, wow, the Sky Sin is huge, but is it enough? The Ultars are all on the side of FEV, so even though it's a lot of damage from Black, it's just not quite enough as FEV go crazy in this fight, getting 3 kills there. And that I'm questioning if they move back to this mid-wave.
They're trying to get the...
Are they trying to end?
They're trying to get the wave so they can end right now. 40-second death timer on Aurelion Sol. Jinx got caught out at the very beginning. Wait, they didn't get the dragon?
No, they didn't. That's what I was
never mind. That was really weird, and I don't know why they did that, especially considering that Wardom is still up and alive. He is beelining it to this dragon pit. We've already seen an Elder Steel in this series. Will we see another one?
Wardom had it stolen against him last time. Oath not going to have the Abyssal Dive stopped, and Rix again clutch with these smites. Make sure that the Elder Drake doesn't go to the side of Pup Patrol.
All right, I have to do it again. I earnestly mean it when I say this is my least favorite part of doing color commentary. Elmeet was the first person to die again, and that fight could have been perfect. Flash, I don't know if Flash was available during the fight, but it's up now. Barrier is also up now, and they go down first. And that Aurelion Sol ultimate hit every single member that was there, but there's just not enough follow-up from Aurelion Sol. They can't do everything. Exhaust was put on top of the Aurelion Sol that cuts all of the damage they deal by 40%. So once that Sky Descends is gone, they don't have any follow-up with Elmeet dead. And it's full crit. You have to be the one leading the charge. You have to protect yourself at all costs. Now they cannot contest this Baron. They're making the right call here by not contesting this, because you're just going to get killed. You're going to get wiped, you're going to lose the Baron, and you're going to lose the game.
Yeah, but Elder Baron, the duo combo of these late game buffs, it's very difficult to stop just generally. So it's going to take some incredible play from the side of the Pup Patrol to stop this. But very least, it's not over just yet. The Elder Drake probably doesn't have too much longer on it. If they can survive, they can just hold out a little bit longer. They might be able to wait this one out.
Yeah, they have to just wave clear. Luckily, they have Aurelion Soul. They have Jinx with a Runan's Hurricane, so wave clearing, not the most difficult thing. It's all about map movements. They have to track where Vanguard are moving so that they can follow. We had a 43-minute game, a 47-minute game, and now we are eclipsing it, the longest game in Ember Cinder League, their long and illustrious history. And I mean, couldn't have asked for better games. They can't get too aggressive here. They do not win a fight.
Death Knight taking down to about half HP, is burning down. Cosmic Radiance will be used aggressively for the first time this game. Disguise Ascend will be dropped defensively, but it'll go straight into that Cosmic Radiance. Doesn't do any sort of damage. First kill going down, yet another one getting claimed. I think this is it for Game 3 and the first ever series of Ember Cinder League and our first ever broadcast. It's a 48-minute banger, and it's Forge Esports Vanguard finally claiming this one in an absolute marathon of a seesaw. It has been incredible. What a way to start Ember League.
I mean, like I said, screw Master Cap leagues. I gotta be down here. This is incredible. And it wasn't like in best of threes. I hesitate to use this term, but a reverse sweep. They got beaten game one in pretty decisive fashion, and they were able to come back, and it was just so incredible.
Well, we're going to have an interview coming up. Do we actually have word on who is it going to be? Well, we'll know when we get back. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few moments. And welcome back, everybody. We have Dragon Akira Manai from Victorious Forge Esports. And, well, we brought it, just to clarify, I've got a little bit word of being breaking up. Akira Manai is the one in. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we'll start off with the questions in this interview. I got to ask, how does it feel to start that way? That is absolutely...
Listen, man. Listen. That probably took like 10 years off of my life. I think I'm pretty good for my amount of stress for the remainder of the year. But it always feels good to win these type of games and come out on the winning side when it's so close, you know. I think that we we stayed strong mentally after game one. I think we all still had really strong belief in each other and how we play. And yeah, I'm really, really proud of everybody for just the performances they put on today.
Yeah. I like to give out player of the games during each individual one and then decide at the end. I would give you player of the series. And a lot of
Thank
that
you.
stems off of that Talia game was so good. And I want to know what you were thinking coming to those late game team fights, because you're facing the Yasuo who's starting to get rolling. You're playing up against, a couple of champions with dashes, and you can't really afford to go forward because they did have the Braum. So you had so many fights where it was all on your shoulders. How are you really proceeding, especially in that fight where Yasuo ends up getting the quadra kill?
Yeah, I was not expecting the quadra kill, but I guess Yasuo hit his 10 death power spike. Uh, yeah, no, to be honest with you, Talia is a comfort champ of mine. I knew that I had a good amount of damage, and I just needed to space properly. Um, I was just looking for angles to kind of, either whether it was finding flips or, just firing off DPS. Even in that situation, I was still really confident going into the Yasuo. Um, he was pretty low, to be fair, when in that fight when I took him out. So I can't take all the credit there, but yeah, I think our team has a really strong understanding of playing around Talia's global as well. So that in combination with just kind of having a lot of reps in the champion, I felt really really good. And so yeah, it was after game one we kind of wanted to switch up our strategy a bit, and I feel like it really did work.
Yeah, so in that like game 1 to 2 transition, especially with how the Pup Patrol kind of controlled that one.
Yeah.
Asking around, I did speak to Wildstar before pick you. How do you the team like mental together after that game 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was a little frustrating. I had Mel down to like a couple HP a couple times in lane, and I just barely missed on the damage. Um, and then she kind of just spiraled and got out of control. That's just kind of how she works. I think after that, like the thing that I always think about is you have to stay grounded in something. And for me, like at least personally, it's staying grounded in like knowing that my teammates are quality. We have strong support. I know that they're not going to tilt. And we've gone through similar situations. This core has been together for a decent amount of time now. So I think it's really easy to kind of bounce back when you know that your team is still going to be doing well even after a rough game. So yeah, I wasn't super concerned. It was a little frustrating, but we were fine, as you guys could see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before we let you give some shout outs here, I want to get your opinion really quick on the performance of Black, the mid laner you're playing against. I felt like they had a really good performance today.
Yeah. I think he did too. I think he played the Mel really well. I thought he kind of was able to get his DPS off, found a lot of really good ults. Um, I think game two we focused him more, and I think it made a big difference. And it was kind of the inverse of game one, where I kind of got spiraling, and then it was sort of from there. I thought the ASOL game three, he was also doing really good. He kind of played the lane how you're supposed to as ASOL. I could tell that he had experience on the champ, even from something as small as like taking Q level 1 and trying to stack. So I knew he was good. And yeah, I have respect. It's just kind of the way it panned out today. But fair play to him.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Akira and I. Congratulations. And in an
Thank you.
absolutely quality first ever stream for Ember League. You guys put on a really good show for us. Actually, before we send it away, any shout outs do you have?
Yeah. Shout out, obviously, my team. They're incredible. Just carrying me. They really stepped it up today, and I'm super super proud of them and our coaches, Amanda, Matt. They did a tremendous job drafting. Shout out to my girlfriend, and then also shout out to my mom. She's actually watching, so I just wanted
Aw.
to share some love. So yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely
thank you.
incredible. Thank you so much. Forge Esports Vanguard, congratulations. Pup Patrol, very well done. Please, everyone, thank you so much for watching. You guys have been incredible, active, and please make sure to follow all of our socials. Make sure to come over and join the Discord. And if you're feeling generous, make sure to go grab some merchandise. It's posted in links in the chat. And with all that being said, Isaac, great job. Ice on the production, incredible job as always. And we will see you tomorrow, same time, for our Emerald League. So don't miss out on that.